podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome to How Are the Podcast. It's Gav and you join us for a little bonus episode because, as you might have noticed, Sunderland have signed Granit Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen. That deal went through on Wednesday officially, with the club announcing his arrival at Sunderland with some fantastic quotes from Christian Speakman and Regis Labrise. And you may be familiar with Granit Xhaka from his time at Arsenal, but you might be wondering what he's got up to in the last couple of years and whether he's still got it. And I know I'm certainly asking them questions, so I thought, why not grab a expert in Bayer Leverkusen? And, well, would you know it? There's a fella who supports both Sunderland and Bayer Leverkusen. So I am delighted to be joined by David Asquith, who is with me this afternoon to chat a little bit about Granit Xhaka. Hello, David.
Hello, mate. You okay? An expert might be a bit far, but we'll
You're
see.
In terms of Sunderland fans who know about Bayer Leverkusen, I think we can officially class you as an expert.
I might give you that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got to tell us a little bit about that because, you know, I'm not I've barely got time to support Sunderland. There's that much goes on. So to support two teams is quite difficult, but it is a thing that a lot of Sunderland fans do follow other clubs abroad. How did that happen?
I've always had love for continental football anyway, especially Bundesliga football. Going back to when I was younger watching Champions League on ITV and bits like that, you remember the likes of Stuttgart coming to United with likes Timo Hildebrand, Kevin Karani, strikers like that. And I've always kept an eye on Leverkusen. I don't know why. It just seems to have clicked in me that, right, that's the team I need to follow. Right. And then you look at the players that played in the past for them, your likes of Balak, Berbatov. You've got likes of Heung-min Son, obviously still in the Premier League now. It's just some fantastic players. And then, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, I had a chance holiday that I went, right, wherever's cheapest, I'm going to go. And it was to Cologne in Germany, and Leverkusen was one of the closest stadiums. So I went, right, I'll do a tour. Went to a game, saw them play Munich in a cup, which they got absolutely battered. But yeah, I just love everything about the club, the way it's run. There's just all positive things about them. And then obviously going up in the last couple of years, they've had the near invincible season of all 3 competitions. And yeah, I can't get enough of both clubs, to be fair.
I'm presuming your love of Sunderland goes back a bit further than that, though.
Yeah.
A lifelong association, yeah.
Yeah, it'll always be Sunderland first and Leverkusen's just that nice thing to follow at the side of it.
Yeah. You mentioned there about the invincibles, and obviously we've heard a lot about that, given we've been linked with Xhaka for a few weeks now, and I think, you know, looking from the outside, you look at Leverkusen, being a change of manager. Obviously, Xabi Alonso's moved on. Erik ten Hag's gone on and took that job. And obviously, there was during the talks that's been going on regarding Xhaka, he even came out and poo-pooed them and said he's going nowhere. And whether you took that out of a pinch of salt or not, I mean, he ended up at Sunderland in the end. So ultimately, what he said didn't ring true. But there's a lot of change going on at that club. Obviously, there's other players moved on over the summer. It looks like it's sort of last one out, leave the lights on or switch it off because, there's a lot of players leaving. The manager's left, as I said. Do you think that's had a part to play in why Xhaka's moved on? Because there's just so much change going on.
Yeah, it will. I mean, it will have a part. There was rumours going about in that last year of Xabi's contract with Bayer Leverkusen that a lot of players wanted out. I think once they'd hit the heights of that season, a lot of them went, right, Xabi's going to go, Florian Wirtz's going to go, who else is going to go? I sort of want to get myself on and challenge for other things. Because being that top level in the Bundesliga, it's going to be very hard to take Bayern Munich off that pedestal for more than 1 year. You look at the last 20 years of the Bundesliga, I don't think anybody's done it. But yes, there was talks of a lot of first-team players wanting to move on once the links of Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid came out. And Xhaka was one of them. It didn't come across like that on the pitch. I think everyone still remained focused and wanted to win still. Whether that's for Xabi, for the club, so on, I don't know. But yeah, it was a weird last 6 months of the season for Leverkusen, really. We're not quite going to win the league this year, but what do we do now sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously with this summer, a lot of players have left. I'm not surprised Ten Hag stuck his foot in and said, no, actually, we don't want to let him go. But then you look at other players that are also close to leaving, the likes of Hiradeki, possibly Adley. I think his hands are sort of tied with players that have already had agreements to go, right, actually, we're going to look elsewhere in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. And you go all the way back to 2023 when Granit Xhaka signed from Arsenal for Leverkusen. Obviously, a very different time. As I said before, Xabi Alonso was in there. 21.4 million was the reported fee. So, not a million miles of what Sunderland have ended up paying from 2 years later. But it is kind of hard to ignore, isn't it, that just around the time he goes in there, this team really goes up another level and,
yeah, of course.
and have kicked on. I mean, just how important was he to that sort of renaissance?
Well, I mean, when you look at the amount of games that he's played over the last couple of years for Leverkusen, I think he's missed less than a handful of games across the 2 seasons in the Bundesliga. Only second to, I think, Jonathan Tah, that was in the team, who's also left. I think he was the only one to have a couple more minutes than him. And having the likes of Granit Xhaka in that midfield where you can essentially play whatever free in that midfield you want. You've got Xhaka there as that base. You can then have your likes of the Palacios that is a better passer, or you can have the Andrich, which is more of your classic defensive midfielder. He'll put in that hard graft, he'll do the tackles. And it just allows Granit to sort of lead that midfield and spray passes about. He can do what he needs to do. And he was there. He was one of the captains in that team, along with, like I say, Jonathan Tah. And with Sunderland, he'll probably have the same sort of manner about him. You've obviously got Dan Neil, who's captain there. You've got Dan Ballard, who strong individual on the pitch, maybe needs a little bit of guidance every now and then. I'm sure Granit Xhaka will help with that. But then you look at the young lads that are coming in as well. None of them really come across as, or that have been reported as, these are the leaders of the team. These have got that captaincy experience. They've led nations. They've led the teams. They've led Arsenal, bits like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he will bring some real quality like that to the team. His leadership in that Leverkusen team is probably second to none, even with Jonathan Tah there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you tell him. Go do that. He will make sure the point's put across and he will get it done.
Yeah, it's just when I look at it, I can remember back in that season when they went unbeaten. Every time you checked they would be getting beat, and then they would find a way to just. It
would always be a last-minute goal.
Yeah, but we hear a lot about Xhaka's leadership and his ability to pull players along with him. He's got to have. I mean, even though he was a good leader before he went to Leverkusen, that kind of must have solidified him as a true warrior, captain, leader on the pitch, off the pitch, because, there's not many teams in football over the years have done that, have been an invincible, a side who nobody can beat, who find ways to win. And, it's a very different challenging come to Sunderland, isn't it? Because we're not going to be challenging for league titles, but we are going to be fighting to the death in every game. We've got, it doesn't matter who we're playing against. If we're away from home and getting beat 1-0, you want people like that on the pitch to drag you along, don't you?
Oh, 100%. You need that mentality in the team. And like I say, he will give everything for the badge, for the club, for the players around him. I don't think I've seen a single game of Granit Xhaka's time, especially at Bayer Leverkusen, where he's not putting 120%. He will never shirk that tackle. If he puts a pass wrong, he'll go get that ball back. He will lift the other lads around him. I know in the dressing room, he is well liked at Leverkusen. If someone is getting a bit of stick from somebody, he will instantly be the first one there. He'll stick up for them. He'll go, right, actually, this is not right almost, but as my role, I will step in and I'll be the one to back you. I'll be the one to back you. Doesn't matter if you make a mistake. The head doesn't need to go for it. Just carry on. Play game.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm rambling a bit now.
No, you're right. I mean, when you think back to kind of the last time we were in the Premier League, we didn't have enough of those types of players. So it's almost, you've got to have not just Granit Xhaka, mind, you need a few like that who, and I mean, his experience being mainly a top level when it comes to Arsenal and Leverkusen, it almost has to naturally then raise the standards, doesn't it, within the rest of the team? You think a lot of those young lads are going to be looking up to him. They're going to be looking and saying, bloody hell, I'm now playing alongside Granit Xhaka. But the one thing I'm really interested to find out is, you can't ignore his age, right? I mean, I'm not saying he's ancient. He's definitely not ancient. He's ancient by Sunderland standards. We don't have many 32-year-old players. I think he might even be possibly the oldest outfielder. Maybe him or Ronaldo. I'm not sure. But, we don't have a lot of players over the age of 31, 32. So, there's going to be that question, isn't there, that can he still do it? Can he come back to the Premier League at 32, turning 33 in September? Can he still do it at the top level? Have you seen any signs of him slowing down, letting up? Or is he very much still the Granit Xhaka that people might remember when he left a couple of years ago?
I personally think he's still the same Granit Xhaka. I mean, like I mentioned on before, you look at the amount of games and minutes he's played in the last 2 seasons. He is there for nearly every game, or nearly every 90 minutes he is on the pitch. He was never blessed with pace to begin with, but he's got that general football IQ about him. He knows where to be. His positioning's fantastic. And he's always got players around him to sort of not do that running for him, but to be that support with him.
Yeah.
His legs are far from gone, though. I wouldn't have a single worry about his 3-year contract at all. I think for the next 2 years especially, he'll be fantastic for us. Yeah. I can't see any worries about it, really. If someone goes, oh yeah, he's slow or his legs have gone, I think that's just maybe a little bit of ignorance or just not knowing or not watching his last couple of years, really. Because he is a focal point of that Leverkusen team. Without Xhaka, that midfield is completely different.
How has this news gone down with Leverkusen fans? Have they, because he's been so important.
Yeah.
That almost, I mean, I'm trying to think who it would compare to when it comes to Sunderland. Like if, I don't know. It's difficult to say really if there's anybody even at Sunderland who's that important to us. He has just obviously been such an important part of that team and associated with success. So how have fans taken the news?
It's not exactly fantastic looking at the outlook for this season for Leverkusen, especially. I think it is softened a little bit with the likes of all the other big players that have already gone. Your Florian Wirtz, your Frimpong and bits like that. It's sort of just now it's another big name gone. Right, what do we do with this now? But yeah, losing him and Wirtz in the same season, it's going to be a massive struggle for Leverkusen. I've not spoke to many other fans that are particularly high on this season going into it already. It's a lot of, oh God, what are we going to do now?
How much has that got to do with Erik ten Hag getting the job? I've got to ask that because, I mean, wasn't a particularly inspired choice of Man U.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't mind him coming in. I think for the sort of league that he's going into, he'll do just fine. You have that attacking sort of player and you can just sort of go a bit gung-ho every now and then and you don't have to so much worry about the defensive side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there are a lot of people not particularly happy about Ten Hag coming in. I understand that with obviously his time at United.
Yeah.
And not necessarily being scapegoat, but he is the face of a lot of the turmoil that's gone on.
Yeah. So I just can't help but wonder how much that's got to do with this as well. But, I mean, Sunderland being the team that Granit Xhaka has chosen to come to, that even as a son, I mean, more so as a Sunderland fan, that must have surprised you because he'll have had offers. Like, so there's something specifically about this deal that has attracted him to Sunderland, right? I mean, it's not just money. It can't just be money because if it was just money, I'm sure he would have had offers coming out of his ears from Saudi teams and other teams in Europe who could have paid similarly or more. There were rumours that he's been told he's going to be given the captaincy. That's not been confirmed yet, but those are the rumours coming out of Germany and coming out of Switzerland. There was murmurings of him potentially taking up a coaching role down the road, and Sunderland are going to put him through his A licence, things like that. So the package had to have been attractive for him. But even as a Sunderland fan, you must have thought, because I'm still doing it, how the hell have we signed him?
I can't say I ever expected the link to come up, or us linked with any Leverkusen players, let alone the linchpin of the midfield. From reports I've seen, he had offers from Saudi and other continental clubs.
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure they would have offered a lot more than we could ever offer. I believe he's coming as our highest paid player ever.
Right. Okay.
A couple of reports I've seen, they may or may not be right.
Right. You know, when you think before it was probably Jack Rodwell.
Yeah.
So he's, you'd be getting paid more than that.
I know who I'd rather pay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's had plenty of offers from elsewhere, so it would be real interesting just to pick his brain and just go, what's Kirill said to you, or what about the project has drawn you in?
Yeah.
Because of all the clubs, I love Sunderland, but when you've got the likes of Sunderland, or maybe Inter Milan was floated out there a couple of times, something like that, you sort of do wonder what's made the decision for you.
Yeah.
I'm glad he has, though.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we're all the same, really. You know, I've said this to numerous people, but I can't think of Sunderland ever making a more high profile, better signing ever.
No, not at all. I think for a name like that.
No, I mean, we've had good players, but they've never, like, we're talking about somebody who finished 16th in the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
You know, last year. He's genuinely a world class footballer, and he's not over the hill yet. And I still can't get my head around it. I'm like, you know, it is crazy. You know, just from a Leverkusen side of things, is that disappointing for a Leverkusen fan? Like, maybe not so much yourself because it's your team, Sunderland, right? But for other Leverkusen fans, that as a team who've just won the German league last year, won the cup, play in Europe, you know, for all intents and purposes, you should be operating in a totally different sort of pool to Sunderland. And a team who finished fourth in the Championship last season have come along and went, we'll have him. Is that, I don't know, is that just something that became used to as a club? You know, outside of Munich, really, there's even Dortmund get plucked. You know, these clubs are used to losing their best players, but I don't know, like, are they looking at this and going, how are we losing a player to a team who are, I mean, technically beneath us at the minute?
I mean, it is a bit strange. And Leverkusen do have that history of the same as a lot of Bundesliga clubs, really. You have a star player that everyone starts to take notice of, and they disappear and they go elsewhere. You look at the likes of Kai Havertz not too long ago for them, and Florian Wirtz again this season. You do tend to find once they have that season, you either get plucked from Munich and they reign supreme, or they go elsewhere.
Yeah.
For him to come at Sunderland, I still don't think I'm fully digesting it as a fan of both. But yeah,
it must be weird. You're not even experiencing loss, really.
I'm gaining from one side.
Yeah,
it's just paying Peter to pay Paul, isn't it? But, yeah, I can't think of it with anything other than my Sunderland head on. To be fair, because we're just getting such a top talent.
Yeah.
Obviously, for Leverkusen, it is a huge loss, and I don't think that huge loss will be quite felt until the season starts, even with all the negativity around the transfers and bits like that. But it's our gain at the end of the day.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, as I said before, a lot of people will be familiar with him as a midfielder. But for anyone who isn't, what sort of player is he? Have you noticed any differences since he left the Premier League? Has he changed his game at all? Is he? Because I did notice his disciplinary records improved, which is interesting because you generally just associate Granit Xhaka with being a bit mad and getting booked all the time and stuff. But I might be wrong, but I think I already had 3 yellow cards and 1 red in the Bundesliga last year. Might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that.
He's to say a cool head might be a bit too far because he's always that sort of boisterous player, and he'll make sure his opinions are heard on the pitch. But yeah, I mean, you can get away with a little bit more in the Bundesliga, I think, foul-wise.
Yeah.
But I think learning from Xabi Alonso as his manager has helped him. He is still that combative midfielder. He will still go into all the tackles. His sliding tackles are still fantastic. But when you have Xabi Alonso as that manager, he was always good at passing anyway, Granit Xhaka. But Xabi Alonso was probably a tier above with the way he can just spray balls across the field, whether to the wings or, you know, wherever you need it to go. There was a great quote from Jonathan Tah in one of the training sessions that basically said, Xabi Alonso showed me how to basically ping a pass after I'd made one in training. And I just looked at him and went, well, I can't do that. I'm a professional footballer, but I can't do it the way that you're showing me.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Granit Xhaka obviously has that passing ability anyway, but he's picked up a little bit more. He does operate from a little deeper, but that doesn't stop him going forwards. His position on the edge of the box is fantastic. He's synonymous with having, although he doesn't have a lot of goals for Leverkusen, they do tend to be 20, 30-yard shots that just rocket into the top corner. So he does have that about him, which would help us because we need goals from midfield. It does always tend to rely on the likes of Isidore, Mayenda, or on those wingers, whereas I don't think really Dan Neil chips in with any goals. Liffey, I don't think he got any, if maybe got one.
One, I think, yeah. He scored like he cut in and bent from the left in one game, yeah.
Yeah. So Granit Xhaka, obviously, he will add that with us as well, which will take the pressure off a little bit. But his range of passing, he can almost get that pre-assist, if you like, that people like to comment on.
So he just kind of sets the tone in the midfield and
pretty much. He will dictate play. Like I say, he'll break plays up when they're on the counter-attack, and he will then set us away as well, which I think we will line up quite a bit this year, counter-attacking, as we saw at the back end of last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned Dan Neil there as well, and we've, on the pod, been talking about Dan Neil quite a bit recently, because this will go out, tomorrow's podcast when people listen to the pod in the morning, we talk a bit about Xhaka and what this means for Dan Neil, and we've done it quite a bit in the last week or so, and my opinion is that I can't see how this is anything but spelling the end for Dan Neil at Sunderland. Chris was a little bit different. Chris thinks, if Dan Neil's got the gumption, he'll want to hang around and play with Xhaka, and he'll want to learn from him. But the more I hear about Xhaka, particularly, if they're giving him the captaincy and as well paying him what they're paying him, I just don't see a world in which he's not starting games every week. And that's going to have a knock-on effect for some players, and you've got to think it's got to be Dan Neil. I mean, being a fan of both teams and having seen him last season as a leader on the pitch in Leverkusen, and then having seen Dan Neil, I mean, how do you picture this working out?
I would like Dan Neil to stay with the club just through sentimentality. He's local lads. He loves the club. I love him. I think he's a great player. But when you look at the gulf in quality between him and a Granit Xhaka, there's only ever going to be one winner who starts that. Captaincy, I don't think Xhaka needs the armband to be a captain, but he will probably be given that, as he will be on the pitch, more than Dan Neil.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, it's a bit like Ballard getting it as well, isn't it?
But yeah, I would love Dan Neil to just stay there and just maybe learn. It's just weird saying he needs to learn a little bit more, considering the amount of first team appearances he has for us and the things that he has done for us already. But like I say, that gulf in quality, you can learn so much from a Granit Xhaka. Yeah. And whether he's willing to do that for maybe a season and see where it goes next summer, depending on what league we're in. Because I can't imagine if the worst did come to the worst and we went down again, that Granit Xhaka would have a clause that he would still be at the club. And then you look at who steps in.
Yeah. I'm just really interested to see how all this pans out. But I mean, we can't get around the fact that it's an exciting bit of business for Sunderland. A blow for Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously, they're losing 100%. One of the top players in the world in his position, and as you say, for you it must be bittersweet in many ways. And then in others, your priority is Sunderland, so
very much so. Sunderland always comes first, like I say. So even if it means we take the rest of the players from Leverkusen, I'll take it.
Yeah. Just to conclude, now, I tend to always ask people this when we get them on to talk about players specifically. For anybody who isn't sure about Sunderland making this signing, because there will be people who are looking at it and going, he's a bit old. We've spent a lot of money here, 20 million euros or whatever it is. I'm not sure about this one. Is it the right move and stuff? There'll be a lot of Dan Neil fans who think, like, I don't want Dan Neil's place in the team to be under threat. I want to see him play in the Premier League. So, for anybody who's not sure about this signing, what would you say to them?
Just wait until the first couple of games. Just watch him. He is that good of a player. I mean, it has been mentioned several times already, but to finish 16th in the Ballon d'Or list, whether you like the list or not, it just screams quality. And I don't know why bigger clubs haven't gone in for him, especially when you look at the likes of Arsenal have signed Norgard when they could have probably just gone back in and got a Xhaka. I know it's not maybe as exciting for them, but he could still definitely do that role for them. And I don't see a world where he didn't go to a top 8 team in any league, let alone come to Sunderland. Who knows, maybe we might be top 8 this year. But he is far from over the hill. He's still got a good few years in him. His legs are far from gone. I just can't wait to watch him. He'll be quality.
Well, I'm the same as you. I'm praying he plays on Saturday just to see him. And he has been playing for Bayer Leverkusen in pre-season, hasn't he? So, providing his international clearance comes through and they think he's ready, they probably will chuck him in. They might even advertise it to get a few more tickets sold. You never know. So, thank you very much, David. Really appreciate your time, mate. And you've certainly put any minor doubts that I had to rest about this one. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him in the Sunderland shirt, and I'm sure you're the same.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait for the season to start.
Thank you to the listeners. Thanks for joining us for this quick update pod. Like I said, there will be another pod out in the morning. That's one where me, Chris and Andrew go a little bit more in depth on transfers. We've also got the news of the goalkeeper that we're signing, the news which broke on Wednesday about the striker from Chelsea. So there are loads of things going on at the minute, hence why we've got loads of podcasts out. I mean, just in the last 24 hours alone, we've had a match reaction, we've had our interview with Keith Downey, so there's loads for you to catch up on if you haven't already heard them. But yeah, we will be back with a pod in the morning at 6 o'clock. So thank you very much, David. Thank you very much to the listeners. We'll catch you on the next one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.